opportunity to, and now I'm being recorded. Okay. So one thing that it's really means a lot to me to being able to speak with you guys is that Dee Dee was a very close friend of mine. I've known her, and I will get choked up. So, but yeah, since I started in the business, and one of the top-notch journalists you'll ever work with. So hopefully I'll do justice here. So anyway, so why don't we start out with you guys? If you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, tell me a little bit about yourself and also what you're studying and what you'd like to do in the world of journalism or communications, okay? And I'm going to call you guys out as I see you. So Marcus, I see you first. So why don't we start with you?
Hi, my name is Marcus Foster. I'm from California. I'm a major in mass communications. I just changed to mass communication. I'm not sure how I'm going to apply it at the time. I'm just trying to understand the field and kind of insert myself where I see it. I can have my most strengths at.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for that. Jackie, how about you?
Hey, hello everyone. My name is Jackie Nguyen. I'm a senior advertising major with a business administration minor. And really, I've gotten more educated on the advertising world and how you can apply yourself, but I've recently more so looked into um, client management. Seems like it really speaks to me. I really love that side of it, just like the interaction and being able to meet new people. So that's kind of the side that I'm leaning more towards. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Laurel, is it?
Yes. Hello. My name is Laurel Seller. I am a junior communications major with a journalism minor. I'm not quite sure what I want to do with it yet. I just know I really enjoy the classes. And I'm particularly interested in broadcast and radio. So I'm excited for this class.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Maxon, you're on deck here.
My name is Maxon Robbins. I'm a DMI mass comm major. And I kind of want to be like a filmmaker or director in the future with it.
Okay, great. Jenna?
Hi, I'm Jenna. I'm a public relations major. I'm not really sure what I want to do with this degree, but I kind of like the creative and writing side of it, so I probably have to see what kind of goes with that.
Okay, great. Caroline, you're next.
Hi, my name is Caroline Fitch Colin. I'm a social work major and a journalism minor. I'm not really too sure what I want to do with it yet, but I think journalism is like a good base to have in any career.
Okay, excellent. Ethan?
Yes. I major in mass comm, minor in comp science. Um, the main objective is comp science, but since I'm minor in it, I can skip past, the complicated math
Mm-hmm.
and get straight to the coding right now. And yeah, mass comm is going to be a great, thing to have on my degree though, because it takes you pretty far.
Excellent, excellent. And Regina, I'm guessing you're our Australian student because you're upside down here, but
Oh, am I upside? I'm not. Sorry, I'm on my phone.
I thought you were
Um,
in Australia. So anyway,
sorry. But yeah, I'm Regina. I'm majoring in English, but I'm double minoring in mass comm and journalism. And I know that I want to do something in the journalistic world in the future.
okay, great. And sorry about giving you a rough time on that.
Oh, it's
Um,
okay.
the reason I really wanted to hear from all you guys, I really appreciate that, is because as you can see, we've got a wide variety of interest here. It's not as simple as am I going into print or am I going into broadcast these days? It's a lot more complicated, especially with social media these days. There's so many other avenues, and right now it's a very interesting time in our business because um, everything's evolving. All the TV stations, in particular, right now have come to the realization that the typical broadcast news, meaning watching KVU in Austin or watching Ken's on Channel 5 in San Antonio, that model just isn't working anymore financially because there are so many different outfits out there trying to get money from the same piece of pie there. And so now we as an industry are having to retool how we deliver news. Streaming is the biggest thing right now, and also trying to do more in social media. You'll see that TV organizations in particular are doing a lot more vertical videos where our reporters and so forth are putting things out on social media to try to get your attention, because the days of watching the news at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. are long gone. Even though we're still doing newscasts at that time, there's no such thing as appointment TV anymore, where people are sitting in front of the TV at those times. They're either watching it on YouTube or Facebook or watching a recap on TikTok or something along that line. And as you guys kind of demonstrate here, the interest in communications is far beyond just TV and the radio and print right now. But the general concepts of writing remain. You still have the print concepts, which have been talked about, and tonight we're going to kind of focus on broadcast writing, but more so what we call active writing, because active writing is more to try to be conversational and to be right now. Because if you're not right now on social media, people are going to just blow by you and go to another outlet or scroll right by you and go to something that's going to get your attention. It's all about getting attention right now. Okay, so that's what we're going to kind of focus on, how active and broadcast writing focuses more on getting your attention compared to, not in place of, but compared to print, because print is always going to be the record. You know, you're always going to have to go to either the newspaper or books or publications where it's the item of record. And Jessica, I know there's a term that I'm reaching for there, but yeah, basically that's what about. Anyway, so I'm going to try sharing my screen here. Let me see if you guys can see this here. And I don't know if you got a copy of this, but if you didn't, I can send this to you. Okay, can you see me now? Can you see what's on my screen? Let's see. Hang on. Let me try this one more time. Window. Okay, how about now? Can you see that? Okay. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys are going to be able to see this. I'll go over it, and again, if you're not able to see it, let me know and I will send you a copy of it. So basically what we're talking about is putting the new in news, so using active voice in broadcast writing. And so the core difference between broadcast news writing and print news writing comes down to how the audience consumes the information. The broadcast audience consumes it with their ears, whereas the print audience consumes it with your eyes. And here's how that shapes everything. So listening versus reading. In broadcast, it's typically, now this has changed a lot because of social media, but it's written to be heard once. So in other words, if you're watching a newscast and I'm telling you the story, once I've said what I've said, it's gone, right? You can go to the website and look at it or rewatch the story, but typically once it's already been said, it's gone. Versus with print being newspaper and web, it's written to be read and reread and scanned. So in other words, if you didn't understand it the first time, you may want to go back and reread something and get the content more that way. So that's the biggest difference. So for instance, in broadcast, I may say, Corpus Christi leaders say the water is safe to drink tonight. That's what I want you to get as my audience. The water is safe to drink tonight. Whereas a print might say, city officials in Corpus Christi announced Tuesday that municipal water has been deemed safe for consumption following extensive testing. Are they saying the same thing? In a nutshell, yes. And probably later in the story, I'm going to tell you more about the testing, because in reality here in the Corpus area, we're dealing a lot with arsenic in our water because our water levels are so low. But that's something that I'm going to tell you, but I want you to get that gist. I want my viewer to get the gist that the water is safe to drink tonight. Okay. Sentence structure is also a big difference in broadcast. In broadcast, the sentence structure is short, simple, and conversational. As I tell some of my young reporters, think of it as you're telling this story to your best friend across the table while having coffee. Okay. And you want to explain it to them so that they understand it. In print, it's longer, more complex. Those sentences are acceptable more in print. In broadcast, if a sentence is hard to say, it's hard to understand. And one thing that I try to, again, teach my young reporters is, whereas in print, you can have a sentence that goes on for a long time and to get like several points across. In broadcast, you want to have one point, and you have to keep in mind, can I say that in one breath? Because if you write right on and on and on and on, and then you run out of breath, yeah, the audience is not going to understand you. So if it's hard to say, it's hard to understand. Broadcast has one simple rule, one idea per sentence. Whereas again, in print, there are multiple ideas that can be layered into one sentence. Writing style. Broadcast has conversational, it's like speaking to a viewer. It really should be conversational, like you're having a discussion with it. And a really good anchor, if you watch them, they are having a good conversation with you, a reporter as well. Print, it's formal, it's an information dense. There's a lot more information within that story. Broadcast often sounds like, you'll notice more police in the area tonight, whereas print may say, residents will likely observe an increased police presence in the area this evening. It's not as exciting, but it has a lot more information in there. Pacing versus timing. As Jessica was telling you, words are at a premium when it comes to broadcast. You want to make every word count because time is fixed. We usually have what we call a VO, which is a voiceover. It's just a story that's approximately 30 seconds long that gives you the story there. We have what's called a VOSOT, or a soundbite, as Jessica was mentioning, where it's the same thing as a VO, except I'm going to hear from somebody that was interviewed, probably about 10 to 15 seconds long, sometimes as short as 8 seconds. And then you have the minute 30 package. This is where a reporter actually goes out, interviews people, writes the story, voices the story. It has presence in the story, either as a live shot or a stand-up or something along that way. Print space is flexible. If you need more time, they're going to give you more space to write where the word count is. And again, in TV, it's not unusual that, I'm writing for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, a minute 30. All right. Broadcast writing is about timing to the second. Print writing is about the depth of completeness. And if you're wondering why we're writing so short, if you look at a half-hour newscast, if you take out the commercials and everything in there, you really have like a 21-minute window for content. If you take out the 3 to 5 minutes for weather, another 3 to 5 minutes for sports, you're already down to like 11 minutes for news. And then you've got to have all this crosstalk between the anchors. So honestly, your news content in a newscast is probably 7 to 10 minutes worth of content there out of 21 minutes. So that's why it's such a premium. Use of detail. Broadcast focuses on key facts only. Give me the nuts and bolts is what we call it. Okay. Here's what happened. Print includes background, context, and nuance. Broadcast strips it down. Who, what, where, and why it matters right now. Okay, that's one thing I want you to take away from this is why it matters right now. You may read tomorrow's paper that does a story that I've done 5 times on TV before that newspaper hits the floor. But that newspaper is going to have a heck of a lot more content and context to the story than probably my 5 stories put together. Print expands. It gives you history, policy, implications, and multiple perspectives. Attribution. Attribution is important all the time. And that's one of the toughest things when writing for print is attribution can be boring. You'll often hear say, police say, or allegedly, the person was allegedly shot or reportedly shot. But that's attribution. If the police are the ones who tell us this, we have to say the police are the ones who told us this. Why? Because sometimes the police get it wrong initially based on the information that they did get, or the story changes. The person didn't end up getting shot by somebody, but they committed suicide. So it's always important to have that attribution. In print, the attribution usually comes afterwards. So in broadcast, we usually say police say yada, yada, yada. Whereas in print, they say, here's what happened according to police. Broadcast prioritizes clarity immediately to avoid confusion. Are there any questions up at this point? Okay, if not, we'll get to the good stuff here in a second. Visuals versus text support. Broadcast, meaning TV in particular, is all about video. Writing works with the video. You don't describe what the viewers can already see. So if I have a video of a dog crossing the street, I don't want to say the dog crossed the street, but I do want it to be complimentary. I do want to show that video of the dog crossing the street and say something along the line, it was so hot outside, even dogs were running for shade, or something like that. And here's a picture of that dog crossing the street. No, I'm not talking about you, Nova. Print writing is complete storytelling. So they are going to go in and give you much more detail here, okay? And print also must create the full picture, okay? Because while they do, newspaper stories do have a picture or so, and if you're lucky online, you may have a slideshow, it still doesn't have the amount of video or visual elements that a video does. In broadcast, redundancy is good. And broadcast repetition helps retain information. So the more I repeat it within one story, the more my audience is going to understand it. In print, repetition feels redundant. So in broadcast, for instance, I may say, going back to that story we talked about, the water being safe to drink. Again, the boil water notice remains in effect tonight. So what I told you at the beginning, city officials say it's safe to drink the water. I'm going to tell you why it was unsafe for a while, but at the end, I'm going to tell you again, police are saying it's okay to drink the water, but you need to boil it, okay? Now, that would feel unnecessary in print, but it's helpful on air. Bottom line, broadcast writing is writing for the ear. It's simple, it's conversational, it's immediate, and it's time-bound. Print writing is writing for the eye. It's detailed, structured, information-rich, and flexible. So given, our news background, the quickest way to think about it is this way. Broadcast is how do you say it live? Print is how do you document it for the record? Okay? Any questions at this point? Okay, if not, I'm going to move on to active voice. So what is active voice? Active voice sentences directly state who is doing something, not who did something, but who is doing something. And even though, and this is probably the most confusing thing about active voice, even though the event already occurred, you want to write it in a way that it keeps it as active as possible because your audience wants to hear that it's still developing. Active voice can make the messages more engaging for your listener. And active voices clearly identify who's responsible for an action. Active sentences tend to be shorter and more to the point. So you want to keep it tight and to the point. Okay, so here's an example. I don't know if you guys are still reading along with me here. So here's a sentence. A high school student is dead and another's in a hospital after a fight broke out at a San Marcos restaurant today. I don't know how many of you guys are keeping up with the news, but sadly, that's so right on the money with what literally happened down the road in Comal County today, where a student went into a high school, shot a teacher, and then killed himself. But anyway, so that's the basic there. A better way of saying it, and actively saying it, is a fight at a San Marcos restaurant ends with one high school student dead, another in the hospital. So you guys see the difference there? I'll reread it again. A high school student is dead and another is in the hospital after a fight broke out at a San Marcos restaurant today. That's good. The better version is a fight at a San Marcos restaurant ends with one high school student dead, another in the hospital. So it's active. All right. Here's another one here. The basic premises or the basic information is the mayor is now in the process of deciding whether he will run for another term. A better way of saying that is the mayor is considering whether he will run again. The best way to say it is the mayor considers if he'll run again. The differences are it's more active, it's tighter. You see, there's only about 6 or 7 words there compared to the 10 or 15 that we had in the initial one. All right. For those of you going into TV news, make your leads and headlines active too. A juvenile was found in the backyard, shot in the chest, police say. SAFD, this is a way of doing attribution. You just put the initials of what agency is the source. SAFD, 2 people hospitalized following a fire at a northeast side apartment. And then another way of doing it is a quote: visitors test positive for measles after UTSA campus tour. Okay. So let's give you the anatomy of an active sentence. So here's the sentence. Local officials are investigating a suspicious package found near the downtown area, urging residents to avoid the block. That's all the information there. All right. The explanation. The active verb here is investigating. That means that it's clearly indicating that the action is still being performed. So local police are investigating. The direct subject. The sentence immediately states who is taking action, being the local officials, and concise and engaging. The sentence is straightforward and easily understood by a social media audience, okay? So you want it to be active, you want it to be tight, and you want it to be very clear as to who is doing what, okay? Another example, and this is an example of a script for broadcast. Now at 10, again, one of the things you're going to see if you listen to broadcast, we use now, tonight, today a lot, okay? So now at 10, jail should not be a death sentence. That's the message of a grieving mother tonight. So far this year, 10 Bexar County inmates have died, many of them suffering medical episodes. That's why families are planning to protest this weekend. So, okay, so you see a lot of activity that you're hearing now at 10. You're hearing about the grieving mothers. They're still actively grieving. They're saying this tonight. We're telling you that 10 inmates have died in the jail. Broadcast tends to leave out adjectives a lot. So that's why this sentence sounds a little awkward, but yet it's conversational. Many of them suffering medical episodes. That's why families are planning to protest this weekend. All right. So I'm going to show you another one now. The script is below, but I do want you to see the video. Okay. So let me pull that up here real quick. Pull this aside. Where are you guys? Over here. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this one and I'm going to go to the other one. So stand by. Should be this one here. Any questions, guys? I've thrown a lot at you here.
Danny, I'm sorry, darling. We're having some problems with the audio.
Are you? Okay, stand by then. Okay, you guys couldn't hear it?
No.
Okay, let me try again.
It might be volume on the actual computer.
Let me try muting my mic and then playing it, okay?
That's usually what it is.
All right, so let me re-cue it.
No. Nope, Danny, still can't hear you. Do you are you using some type of mic on your computer, like an aux mic?
No, it's part of the camera, so no, it's the same thing there. So
let me see here. If you go to at the bottom of your screen where it says it has the little mic, can you hit that little arrow?
Okay.
See if one of those, maybe that first one.
My phone here?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Just click one of those. I don't know why it's not working. Yeah, sometimes you can change the mic options to play the video. Play the video and click on the different speakers. That might work.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah, let's try that one.
Let me play it one more time and see when you hear it. I'll put my mic on mute again real quick.
No, I don't think you should put your mic on mute.
Okay.
Later, police say they found their suspect in Florida.
Okay, let me recue
Crime scene tape in a
10, hey, big break in a cold case murder. Tonight we're learning there's an arrest in the killing of a San Antonio woman. 6 years later, police say they found their suspect in Florida.
Crime scene tape and a puddle of blood is what surrounded this area in downtown. In 2018, this was the scene at West Travis in North Flores. At the time, this is how the police chief described what investigators saw.
It was a violent death. There was a lot of blood associated with it.
Police say they found 46-year-old Tammy Fudge dead from blunt force injuries to the head. They say her body was dragged to a parking lot and was found lying over a pipe rail.
It was sad that she was killed. I wondered for several years whether anybody would ever be caught or connected.
6 years later, San Antonio police say they've cracked the case. In May 2024, cold case detectives reviewed the case and resubmitted prints to be analyzed in a database. Just last month, there was a hit. Investigators say there was a match from DNA collected from the crime scene. They say it points to Christopher Allen, who is already behind bars in Florida on another case.
Travis from there on.
Frank Trevino, a missing advocate in San Antonio, remembers this case. He also recalls an interaction with Fudge years before her death.
I still recall her attitude, positive, yet it was a sad case.
Trevino believes a break in a case like this could give other families hope.
DNA, excellent work. The things that have come up in the last few years, the technology, I think a lot of that is going to help a lot of these families get their answers.
So Allen, who is 30 years old, is at a federal detention center in Miami. According to records, he's accused of having a stolen firearm from Bexar County. He's now also facing a murder charge. However, in the Fudge case, police have not released a motive.
Okay. All right, guys. So while I'm setting up the next one, so basically, yeah, you saw, even though this case was from 2018, you heard a lot of active writing in there, talking about how this man remembers, how the suspect is already in jail. There was a lot of there that, even though this is stuff that has already occurred, is still very active. Now I'm going to go back to my original one, so please stand by. Let's see. Okay, so you should see that. So what you're seeing right here is that I'm kind of highlighting. This is the script to the story that you just saw. Now down here, and you guys can do this at your own leisure, but here's a print version of that same story. So if you want to get an idea of how print versus broadcast with the same information, but yet with more details, this is a good example of how that works out there. Okay. So what changed in those stories between the broadcast and the print version? Well, one is the lead style shift. As Henry wrote, a big break in a cold case murder, whereas the print version says, I'm highlighting it for you guys here, arrest made in 2018, killing of a San Antonio woman after DNA match. Again, it's very past tense there. Okay. The print leads with the information, not the T's. Remove time cues. There's no time cues in there in the print case, but broadcast uses tonight, 6 years later, where print replaces it with the specific date in May 2024 or last month. But again, broadcast uses more active verbs or explanations, tonight and 6 years later. Attribution placement. In broadcast, police say, and that's early and often, whereas in print is police said. It's at the end of the attribution. Sentence expansion. Broadcast says police say her body was dragged, whereas in print it would say investigator determined her body had been dragged. Okay, same information, but just tightened up and making it more active. Tone adjustment. In the broadcast version, it was dramatic and urgent. In print, it's neutral and documented. Less emotion, more record. Structure change. In broadcast, you have a lot of nat sound. Now, nat sound is what you hear is the little things in the background that keep you interested in the stories. How many of you guys recognize like the little dinging of the crosswalk? Doot, doot, doot. Little things like that maybe are not specific to the story, but it captures your attention. It keeps the story moving along. That's what we call nat sound. You always want to have it underneath it. You don't want it overpowering what the the reporter or the interviewee is saying, but you wanted to keep that interest, okay? Bite driven, that means sound bite. So you want to set up your sound bite so what that person is saying has more impact. And then also visual cues, okay? So again, when Henry's talking about the body being dragged and then you're seeing a long shot of the parking lot, you can kind of envision that body being dragged to that bar. Paragraph flow, again, it's more conversational. It's more of a storytelling. I always emphasize to my reporters, you want to tell a story. And I'm talking more like a tale versus here's a book. And the quotes are embedded in the narrative, okay? So removal of the visual writing. In broadcast, crime scene tape and a puddle of blood. That gives you an image there of what that scene looked like years ago, versus with print, they removed that or converted it to factual description. Because print readers don't see video, they don't also need cinematic setup, okay? Yeah, TV is entertainment. Quick takeaways. The script shows it perfectly. The broadcast version feels like you're guiding a viewer through a story in real time, whereas a print version reads like permanent record of what happened. Okay. So any questions now? Because that's the most I'm going to give you guys regarding TV news, broadcast, and active writing. Any questions there? Okay, we're about to wrap up here, so hang with me, guys. Okay. So social media. A lot of you guys are talking about going into social media, public relations, or also doing some sort of thing outside of the traditional news media. But active writing is still very important in those positions. So, for instance, let's take this sentence here. Gather around, everyone, and we'll discuss active voice and its role in digital marketing. Okay, how does that compare to active voice and its role in digital marketing will be discussed by us after everyone has gathered around? That's boring, right? Whereas the first one is like, if I were saying, hey, gather around, everybody, let's talk about active writing right now, okay? You guys were probably going to huddle up there. So which of the ones do you find more engaging? Probably the second one, right? Or rather, the one where it says gather around. The short of it is when writers utilize the active voice, they create a piece of content which overall is more engaging to your audience. And engagement is the main thing for social media. You want to have a call to action in some form or another when it comes to social media. Join us for a live Q&A session at 2 p.m. to learn about our latest product launch. Okay, that's a call to action. You're telling that person who's going through your social media, come back here at 2 o'clock and we're going to tell you the latest about all this cool stuff that we have. This clearly states who's taking action, join us, and what they should do. Attend the live Q&A, making the message direct and engaging. So what are the benefits of using active voice in social media posts? Using active voice in social media posts can have many benefits for your brand and your audience. Standing out from the crowd and grabbing attention is one of the main advantages of active voice, and it can make posts more lively, dynamic, and interesting. Additionally, active voice can help build trust and credibility with your audience as it shows confidence, honesty, and transparency. Finally, active voice can increase engagement and conversion with your audience, motivating them to take action, creating a sense of urgency and excitement. So what does this all mean? How does this all come together? Okay, so let me ask you guys, and I'll just ask for a show of hands. How many of you guys have seen social media from a humane society saying, here's Betsy. She's a cute dog and likes to play around. She's looking for a new home. How many of us have seen it? All right. So yeah, we've all seen it like, oh, Betsy's cute. And that's pretty much where we leave it, right? Unless you're really, really looking for it. Well, I want to show you how one humane society in Wichita Falls decided to do that a little bit differently, okay? So I'm going to introduce you to Eddie, the asshole dog. Can you guys see this? You guys see Eddie? Okay. So this is the Humane Society of Wichita County. They wrote, this is Eddie. Eddie is an asshole. Eddie hates other dogs. He's 17 pounds and could take on a Rottweiler and win. If Eddie had an accent, he would sound like he's from the Bronx, wearing a wife-beater t-shirt and a tattoo that says mom on his arm. If you got into a bar fight, Eddie would back you up and take on all 5 guys, put his cigarette out on their forehead and not spilling a drop of his beer while doing it. So if you think you're man enough to adopt him, please be our guest. We want Eddie out of here because he scares our big dogs. So does that get your attention there? It should, right? So it really did. And I'm going to stop sharing this here. It got so much attention that this got worldwide media attention. It had about 30,000 likes and about 80,000 reshares on that story from that one post by that. And news organizations as far away as Ireland were carrying his story. And within 8 hours, Eddie was adopted. Not by like some big burly guy, but by a 15-year-old cute girl who just came and cuddled him. And next thing you know, Eddie was a real little puppy dog. And on top of that, to capitalize on it even more, she started a Facebook page for Eddie the Asshole Dog. And he has about 40,000 followers on that. And then they started selling merch with Eddie the Asshole Dog. And the money raised from that merchandise went to help the Humane Society there. And they even had a Christmas party afterward with Eddie taking pictures and signing autographs or things along that line. So it just goes to show you that if you're creative, if you've got active writing, if you've got that visuals, people are going to click. So the story here is, yeah, active writing and being creative is going to get the attention of whether it's your readers, your viewers, your social media followers. That's what it's all about. So try to be creative, try to be active. And that's what I have for you guys. So please ask me some questions.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and open it up. Anybody have any good questions for Danny? Well, I have a question. Let's start this conversation. Usually when these sessions take place, usually when these sessions take place in class, right after, an overview or any type of material that you provide, a pro provides, the students are usually kind of scratching their head, looking at their notes maybe. But, you have 40 years experience in the industry, so you've seen a lot of changes.
Yes.
You mentioned Jacob Rodriguez, who, when he was at Texas State, yeah, he was the editor of the University Star, but Jacob had charisma. He wasn't the best student. I had him in class and he was, he was B minus, B solid throughout all the courses, but he was reliable and he had character. And I think that, he really shined when he got to apply the tangibles while he was working in the field. It was something that it was so different from what he was doing at Texas State. When he got hired at Kent's 5, he really had that opportunity to shine. So when you are working, what are some skills that you notice young people lack or they might be able to improve on? Or do you have any advice for, new graduates getting into broadcast?
Okay, so one of the main things is there are numerous roles in any news organization. Okay, so it may be, and the reason I say that is because a lot of people go into college thinking, I want to be a reporter, or I want to be an anchor, or I might want to be a photographer. It's changed obviously a lot because most of you guys have listed different interests. But within any newsroom, you've got producers who do a lot of the writing. You've got digital editors who do a lot of the stuff there. And you've also got the people behind the scenes who are pushing buttons and who are creating graphics and things along that line. So any kind of skill that you have, you can put to use. One of the great things also about this time is you don't have to be that reporter or anchor to get on air. At Ken's, we have a lot of digital content editors who will go out and shoot vertical videos, or they'll do interviews that play primarily on the website. And some of them have their own either a podcast or a mini segment that runs on streaming as well. So there's a lot of opportunity for you to try something out without it having to be on the main operation. But I would say definitely, Yeah, be creative. Be creative. Jacob is a very creative guy. He does a lot of vertical videos and stuff on his own. He goes back to Texas State and does stuff on the football teams and things along that line. But yeah, you guys are your audience now. The audience I grew up with is 80, 90 years old now. Okay, they're dying off. You guys are the next generation, so you need to find the best way to reach out to people your age. And it's a challenge for traditional news media because we're trained to do it a certain way, whereas you guys can connect with people your age better than I can.
Great. I love that. Other questions, please, from the class.
How do you find the balance between having an active conversational tone and it being opinionated? Because I know sometimes those two can overlap a little bit where conversational kind of becomes opinion. So how do you deal with that?
That's a very good question, especially in today's media climate, so to speak, because as you're well aware, whether it comes to CNN or Fox or MSNBC, the days of we're unbiased and staying on this side of the line are gone. And technically they say, well, if you're watching these shows during the day, that's news, versus the ones that are running in the evening are opinion, but they all look the same. So the audience doesn't know the difference. To them, it's news, right? But as a journalist, we need to hold ourselves accountable. I tell our guys constantly, we are held accountable by legal and ethical standards that the guy who has the website or the Facebook page who just makes shit up, pardon my language, isn't held to the same standards, right? But we have to do it. So as far as your question, the main thing to do is, if the people you are interviewing have opinions, let them give their opinion, okay? You can set up the story or you can set up what their opinion is, but still, again, as we said earlier, attributing. Mr. Johnson says the dean has his head up his butt. And then we hear from Mr. Johnson saying, yeah, I have pictures of it. But, but let them be the ones who say it. You can set it up. As I was telling one of my reporters today, because we're going through annual reviews right now, be the one who provides the voice to the community. Don't be the voice for the community. Okay, give them access to it. Give them the opportunity to have their say. But it's not our job to say it for them. Okay, good question.
Thank you.
So you are, Laurel, you're looking into going to broadcast, right? You said.
I think I'm interested in like broadcast and radio. I'm really interested in that.
So tell me, do you have any questions about what because I know I threw a lot at you guys today, but the active voice lecture, give you any insight there?
I didn't realize how incredibly different it was. I mean, yes, there's a lot of similarities, but I didn't realize how different it was until you put the side-by-side comparison. And I'm like, oh, this has a completely different, like, the way things are structured is very, very active. And I didn't realize how formal print writing was as compared to broadcast writing until it's, set in front of me. But I really like it. It's definitely going to be an adjustment, like trying to get used to it. So I'm excited for this assignment where we get to work on it. But it's really interesting.
It is. And as was mentioned in my bio, I worked at the Houston Chronicle for a couple of years as a digital news editor. And so people ask me sometimes, what's the difference between newspaper and TV? And I say, newspapers are like the British Navy. They're very prim and proper and have their orderly way of doing things. TV stations are like pirate ships. We just wing it and do a lot of stuff. So, but yet we achieve the same goals essentially. But thanks.
I love that analogy.
Marcus, I think you connected with Eddie a little bit on that story there, didn't you?
Excuse me?
You connected a little bit with Eddie the asshole dog story, didn't you?
Oh yeah, I was trying to figure out how he was riding to the fan mail. That's what I was trying to figure out.
But if you guys get a chance, look
Yeah,
it
that was
up.
good though.
But yeah, it really went off the charts there, and it just goes to show that again, in any industry, any communications facet you guys are looking at, if you can tell a good story, if you can make it compelling for your audience, they're going to connect with it that way. All right, so and Eddie's a prime example of it. But you can only hit, I'm sure the people who did it didn't say, if we write it this way and do this, we are going to get so many hits or whatever. No, but they tried something different. They tried something different to try to get, and luckily, if they got Eddie adopted, and hopefully it had a ripple effect, and more people came into their shelter to adopt as well, because the followers for that website increased as well, not just for Eddie, but for the shelter in general. All right. Jackie, you got anything for me? No, come on.
I guess so. I guess I'm a senior this year. What was kind of your experience, like transitioning from, college life into your professional career?
That's a very good question. In college, you don't have the daily pressure that you do in a professional career. Meaning, because if you guys, let's say for instance, the assignments that you got right now, the one about the flower, right? You've got what, a week or two or more to write that. In TV or broadcast in general, you basically have to turn it that same day. And it's up to you to go out first thing in the morning. You're going to get your assignment, or better off, you're pitching your story. But then you got to make calls, get an interview set up. If you broadcast, you got to go to that person's location, do the interview, get video to support that story, come back, write it up, edit it. Nowadays, you guys are editing your own stuff as well. And we're asking you do it for the 5 o'clock show, the 6 o'clock show, shoot me a vertical video. And also, by the way, you need to write your web story before the end of the day. And so that's all the stuff and that's if you're starting out in a smaller market or a smaller city, you're going to be asked to do that for like 3 stories a day, versus in other cities, we're fortunate if our guys only work on 1. So yeah, the daily pressure of doing that, plus the pressure of having to make sure that you're right about everything. All of your details have to be accurate, because we're held accountable for that. And that's in any form of communication. You need to make sure not only that you get it fast, but that you get it right. All right. And then, so I think that's the biggest change. One thing I want to say in general, and thanks, that's a good question, but to all of you guys, if you're looking to get into journalism, whether it's TV, print, or radio, keep in mind that you're going to start out usually at a small city or a small publication or TV station, making hardly anything. The people that you graduate with are going to make 3 times the amount of money that you do in their first year. You're going to be working nights, weekends, holidays. Your dating life is going to suffer, and you give up a lot. It's not as glamorous as most people think, but the reward is being the one who writes that story, who gets that information and puts that story together, that is going to either get national attention or is going to convince somebody to do something or do a call to action or something along that line. We did a blood drive recently at our station, and we assigned one of our reporters to do a profile on a little girl who had a rare case of cancer that needed to have frequent blood donations. And when the blood drive came around and people came, several of them said, I came to donate because I saw that story. That's the kind of thing that you want. You want to have that satisfaction of people saw what I had to say, people heard what I had to say, and it impacted their lives one way or the other. So that's the great satisfaction of this business.
Danny, I got a question about how you guys use social media. How much do you post personally? You know, are you still in the field reporting, or are you behind the scenes now? And if that is the case, how are your staffers using social media independently as journalists? Are they covering events live, or is there personal content they're sharing?
Good question. Good question. It kind of goes to what I mentioned at the beginning here. The industry is changing so much that there is a push emphasizing social media. So in particular, vertical videos. And so our station has a standard, I would say, on how many times people should post. And so, for instance, at Ken's, when I was there, everybody who's off air should post something at least once a day. Producers should be posting, I think, 2 times a day, and on-air talent should be posting 3 times a day. So there's this push to get everybody in the newsroom involved. They want to see at least 100 sort of social media posts in one form or another. As far as the question as to whether I'm still on air, I was when I was at Ken's. I was reporting there. Like I had the luxury of doing it like once every 2 weeks or so. And I had the chance to pick my stories, and I had more time to write with them, mainly because Jacob was my producer and I could strong arm him into giving me more time. But yeah, so I would shoot vertical videos for my stories, and we would post them out there. Or sometimes you just take a story that isn't getting the attraction, like when I believe it was Ace Frehley from Kiss passed away. I did a vertical video, said, hey, a lot of people don't know this, that Kiss first performed in San Antonio about 50 years ago, and this is the 50th anniversary, and we were one of the first places they visited. Something that's probably not going to make the newscast, but it gets out there on social media, and people start clicking on it. So yes, social media is a very big push throughout the industry. Between that and streaming video, that's the biggest push right now.
That's great. That's great. Who else do we have in class today? I'd like to hear from everyone. Let me see here. Some students came in a little later. What about Josh? Josh, you're a strong student. Are you going to get into broadcast or print, or? Are you with us, Josh? Let's see here. Who else do we have online? Tori,
I don't think I got to meet yet.
Tori went on the study abroad program with SJMC director Judy Oscom, so the big cheese. Yeah, so she went to Scotland. So, Tori, do you have any questions specifically for Danny? Again, this is going to help his portfolio for his master's program. So any students that you guys could ask him will be very valuable just for, again, gaining that expertise that comes with having an advanced degree.
Right. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, can. Hi, Tori.
Hi. I joined a little late, so I probably missed a little bit. I don't have any questions. I thought pretty much everything that you said, using the stories that you gave us, kind of answered any questions that I had along the way.
All right. Hey, Tori, at the beginning, we had everybody kind of introduce themselves and what areas they're studying or looking to get into. What about you? What are you looking to do?
I'm actually in advertising.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, advertising is also, it's especially when it comes to active writing. Pay attention to those ads. Everything's about, you got to buy this car now because it's got all these great features, or you got to take this drug because it's going to make your life wonderful. You know, it's all about putting that image into the mind of the consumer, right?
Absolutely.
So that's what you want to do. Hey, one thing I wanted to point out to you guys, since Jessica was pointing out that I'm working my master's, you guys should feel really fortunate to have a opportunity like this where you've got right now, where you're at least learning via online with, where you're meeting in a classroom setting. And I was fortunate that Dee Dee asked me several times to speak to the class. And the reason I say it is, like I said, I am completing my master's degree online, and I swear I have had one live session with a professor in all the 10 classes that I have taken. Most of them, it's, if you're lucky, the professor will do a YouTube lecture on here's what the reading's about, and you're supposed to watch that and then do the readings, and then you do the assignments and you turn them in. I have no interaction with the instructor or fellow students or stuff. So So take advantage of this when you can, because the thing that I felt shortchanged of is I didn't get this kind of input from either the professor or professionals or anything along that line. And then also, I think Jessica gave you guys the link to my LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out to me, okay? Just feel free and send me an email or friend me or something on that, because I do like to help folks in their career. Because one of the most important things in the communications business in general, and I want you guys to make note of this, it's as much who you know as what you know. Okay, you can be the best student and have done all of this and maybe written for the paper and the campus TV station or whatever, but if you know somebody, a professional in the industry you're looking to get into, that is going to go a long way of helping you get in the door and then promote your career as you go along. Okay, so take advantage of that. I'm sincere about it. Follow up with me. And if it's not even TV or print or social media that you want to get into, still feel free to reach out to me. If I don't know it or don't know somebody, I will find you somebody to connect with.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and pop Danny's LinkedIn into the chat. If you guys want to connect with Danny and check out his followings, content he shares, stories that he links to, that would probably be wise. And it's always good too. I think LinkedIn is probably one of the best tools out there nowadays for connecting. And, if you have an ideal job and, you know that you're going to move back home to Laredo or whatever it is you're from, start following what's in Laredo. What is the news outlet there, Danny?
KGNS.
Yeah, start following KGNS. Look at their content. We have a couple Texas State graduates, usually at several news outlets in Texas, Laredo, Corpus, San Antonio, Houston. Right. I mean, I don't think you guys know this, but our program, the School of Journalism and Mass Comm, is an accredited program, and us, UT, and I think the University of Houston and UNT, we're the only 4 in the state that have an accredited journalism Mass Comm program, and that comes with a pretty extensive curriculum review and bringing speakers in like Danny, who are in the industry and working and recognizing the direction of the field and sharing that with you guys. That's all a testament to the quality of students we produce. And a lot of news outlets really like our students because they're dogged, and they're not like UT students where, you can just ride on the hook 'em horns, longhorns, the branding. And right. So our students actually do the work, and usually they're first generation, right? And that makes them even more, stand out because they're willing to work hard. They're not catered to. So, just take advantage of LinkedIn, connect with these people. Even look at Dee Dee's contacts too. I mean, she has some dynamite contacts. Join IRE, get involved in SPJ, take advantage. Yeah, Danny, I forgot to mention, I'm the faculty advisor for SPJ here at Texas State.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so I'm connected to a lot of SPJSA. I usually do the gridiron. When Kim Fox was alive, do you know?
Oh, yeah, I did the gridiron. Yeah.
So I used to do that with Kim and Dee Dee, actually. One was stage manager left, one was stage manager right. So I used to have a great time working with you guys. And again, the support that exists in Texas for Mass Comm students is just unprecedented. So, but that being said, Danny, I'd like to thank you for being with us tonight. I know it was last minute, but I'm so grateful that you could share your expertise. My background is in print. I was a writer up in Ohio, Cleveland, night reporter. So I have not worked in broadcast myself. So it's great that you could extend on some of these skills.
Yeah. And I appreciate it because seriously, Dee Dee had asked me to do this before, and I had forgotten the date. And then when I found out that she passed away, I was like, oh my God, when I was supposed to speak with her, and I hope somebody reaches out to me. So you guys did. And you guys were really fortunate to have Dee Dee because she was the grande dame of print journalists. Even when we started out in Laredo together, she had that stature to her. But yet she was such a cool person. And like you said, she was on gridiron all the time. And I had a dream recently that I posted that I was working at Channel 5. And next thing I know, I was being assigned to be a Godzilla at some school at 4:30, and I asked somebody, says, "What time is it now?" It's 4 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to get a Godzilla outfit at this time? And Dee Dee shows up, says, "Oh, I left you a Godzilla outfit on your desk right now." So it's just very the costume queen there. And so, and of course I said, because you can't tell from here, but I'm very sure. So I'm putting on my costume and say, who the hell wants to see a 5'1" Godzilla anyway? But
that's hilarious.
But yeah, as you were saying, you know, we've got a lot of great students or former students in Corpus Christi. We have some in San Antonio. And as far as connections, yes, I can connect you with Laredo, with the Valley, with Corpus, with San Antonio, with Houston, with Austin, with Waco, with Dallas. So I've got connections everywhere. So if you're interested in going somewhere along that line, again, feel free to connect with me, because it is so important to know someone who can help you get in that door.
Yeah.
So, but thank you guys. I really appreciate it. Some great questions there as well. And feel free to reach out.
Fantastic. Well, Danny, I'm going to stop recording and I'll email this to you tomorrow morning. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Good deal.
All right, guys. Thank you, and good luck with everything, guys.
Thank you
Take
so
care.
much.
All right. Bye-bye.